I thought about it for a couple of days, and I'm going ahead with this build. I'm going ahead with this bike. I had this for so long, and it went through so many different guises, and I still do have ideas of how to make it better. And basically, what fuels my thought is my last ride around Bukit Timah here in Singapore, and it's now close, but there is a couple of problems. First of all, the front wheel is too close when I'm going down technical descents, and also the front wheel is too small. As I've ridden this bike before with a 28-inch front wheel, I will bring this back, but this time it's going to be slightly different. I'm going to use the widest rim brake capable front wheel that I do have. That is already fairly prepared for weight loss. It's the widest one, it's quite sturdy one, and I do currently have laying around a 2.1 specialized a fairly good tire for the front to check it out. What I do need is a fork that compensates for all of the spaces in here. There's a spacer on top, there's a spacer at the bottom, and I do want to get far enough away from the actual fork part of the fork to get enough tire clearance. So that's the main thing here. I want a 28-inch fork on there, and that is considerably longer than a regular 28-inch fork. It'll also change the head angle, that is quite steep. I'll move the, relatively speaking, I'll move the front wheel forward, and I can relatively lower the extension of the stem. As you can see, it's starting to bend. I'm not sure whether you can pick up on that. It's extended too far. It's getting a little fatigued, so it needs to be inserted long further, and that'll sort that, and it'll look better. Position of the handlebars I have modified, so that is now almost in line in one kind of direction. Stem is okay, so that'll live. So yeah, main change here: longer fork, bigger wheel, more tire, more clearance. I do like the concept of an all steel, completely unsuspended bike, a complete stiffy front fork and frame, because it just makes you compensate with your body movements. You have to be a little bit more aware the way you ride. You just cannot just bulldoze down everything. So, and I like the simplicity. Also like the simplicity of my brakes. These are Shimano LX, so that, to my experience, is the very best rim brake there ever was. They don't make them anymore, so if you want any, you need to chase them down on eBay or the like. Also love the handlebars, because there's an eccentric pull. That means the cable goes around the curve, and that means you pull more cable as you would do when it's just a direct pull, a straight pull. And I always get the maximum out of it by pushing it all the way down. What I will also do, I have a lighter carbon fiber housing housed bottom bracket, so it's about time anyway for a new bottom bracket. Once I get to it, I will drill these cranks as I've done with others. That saves quite a bit of weight. I might also drill the down tube of the frame, since that is fairly relaxed here, so I can put a couple of holes in there. I exercised this recently with another frame. Can go to about 7mm hole width. More is impossible. I need to address this here. This is wrong here, as you might be able to see that. It's holding it, but the diameter of the seat post and the seat down tube is not correct together. That's why it's squashing the seat tube. So eventually we'll fix that. I also might lengthen the frame some more. I've been in there. I extended by about 45 millimeters. I could do with another 25. And what we will also do, I will put a new back wheel on it, much better. I have another wheel from another bike that I don't need, which is much better. It's brand new, and it takes a 10-speed cassette, which probably means I need to massage the chainstays and the K4 axle with, maybe not, maybe it's okay. We will see. It might just fit in there. But most importantly, this here needs to go. This bolted on eyelet for the chain hanger. Sorry, the rear mesh. So I'll cut that in half, weld it on there, and that means I can push the axis backwards. You can see that better on the other side. I can push the wheel backwards by a good centimeter, which is brilliant because then I will have more clearance in the front. This is a 2.25 Schwalbe, which is quite fat for its size, but I want to use a 2.5, and moving it backwards a little bit will be just a great thing. So also for wheelbase, extra wheelbase, that's good. I can do with that. So that's, I think, is the most important things altogether. I will also address this here. I'm gonna give this a little bit of shape here. It's too straight for me here. Don't like it. And then we will paint it. Not sure what I'm gonna go for. Maybe just raw, sandblasted, leave it, clear coat, maybe. And yeah, we shall see. In any case, that's what I'm gonna do with the fork. So let me move to the fork. Here's my victims. Here are my victims. Surprisingly, this is an 18-inch fork, which I originally bought for my folding bike that has 16-inch wheels. I wanted to do two things with it, and one is extend the fork a little bit and then weld on some rim brakes. So that's why I bought an 18-inch without brake axis, so that I could position the brake axis for the 16-inch wheel on the 18-inch fork. Anyway, what this actually gives us here, which is rather brilliant, is a massive amount of clearance here. Millimeters, we need millimeters. There we go. Well, it's not that massive. Yeah, it'll give me a good 75 millimeters here. And that'll be ample for the time being. You get more width by using a BMX fork to start with, so I will do that as well. So I will build two forks, but for the time being, as I'm here in Singapore and all the rest is all over the world, can't really get to it at the moment, I'm going to use these two things. The white fork is a regular 28-inch, I would say, a sort of like city bike fork, fairly light, fairly soft, fairly thin at the moment. I've ridden with that fork on Bukit Timah. It can take it. The only problem was that maximum width of tire I'm getting out of this is about 55 millimeters, and that's not enough. Not enough for even a 2.1 tire width. Also, I was playing around with that various different rim width, and what I had to settle for was the narrowest rim, which is too narrow for the tire, and the narrowest tire I had, at the time, which was just barely giving me about 45 millimeters, and that's just not sufficient. So the idea is that I do want to keep the softness of this fork, and the softness comes by the rather thin bottom half of the fork. So if you so want, I'm going to merge these two forks, and the way how to merge this is that I can only use the straight part of that fork. So I'm going to cut off somewhere where you see the blue markings. Leave it as long as possible, everything that is straight, and then I'm going to cut out a window for the brake axis, so basically the lower half of this fork stays intact. That means I can bolt the two legs together with an axis so that they're relative correct to each other, and then I'm going to slide it into this top fork. So that should give me a relatively clean way so the fork afterwards is not wonky, and I will no longer need any spaces like I used to. Instead, I'm making the fork longer, so it'll somehow be like this. You immediately see how much longer this fork is. It's a good let's see what I can approximate this. So yeah, we're gaining about 65 millimeter. This is about as much as a spacer I've used in the past, so that's still okay. It just changes the head angle pleasantly to a more flattish one, a bit more aggressive. Moves the front wheel forwards. So I'm looking forward to this. I'll be making a very good change, and I'm staying through my very simple concept of all steel, all rigid, all simple, rim brakes, and one thing I forgot to mention, I do run a 36 narrow wide at the moment, and now will be changed to a 34, and in the back I'm getting 10 speed cassette that I'm not sure, I think it increases the biggest tooth wheel by 1 step. So anyway, so that'll give me ample for what I need. And one little mention, shout out to Shimano for this SLX rear derailleur. Is freaking brilliant. It's the best one I've ever used, so this one I love. So I'm gonna have a completely matching fixed 10-speed drivetrain on this. Everything's new, and it just works accordingly well. That's for it. Let's do it. That's a wrap. That's all for it. Thanks for listening. You have any comments? You have any questions? Please ask. Please leave your comments, and give me a thumbs up if you like it. If you don't like it, let me know why. If it's interesting for you, thank you for your time, and have a good day. Bye bye.